how can technology alleviate the problem? To help us answer that, we're joined by Arun Sundararajan. He's a professor and NEC faculty fellow at NYU's Stern School of Business. Arun, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Traffic wasn't too bad getting here.
No, it wasn't. There was a little bit of gridlock around the corner, but
to
more
be
or less
expected.
smooth, yeah.
3 days per year, New York is spent stuck in traffic.
Absolutely.
The question is, how can technology help alleviate this? It's obviously a sign that economies are booming if they have more traffic and more congestion. Yeah. But it's also very costly, $160 billion per year it costs in the US. What technologies are cities implementing to help alleviate this?
Well, there are a number of private sector-driven solutions that I'm really excited about. For example, in New York City, I see great promise from services like Uber Pool and Lyft lines, where rather than moving passengers one at a time in a taxi, you're actually getting people using technology to be able to share a ride if they're going on the same route. That's certainly sort of one technology that I think holds the most long-term promise.
Other than ride-sharing apps, is there any technology that's been implemented successfully in terms of, say, coordinating traffic lights in terms of data of which roads are most congested, syncing things with the bridges, syncing things with signs, informing passengers which routes to take? Tell us a little bit about that technology, how that's being implemented.
Well, there's certainly sort of advanced mapping technologies, again, like, largely from companies like Google and from Waze, that are decentralizing a lot of the choices that consumers could make in finding the right route. A number of cities, and I think that another really promising direction that we might go in is in implementing congestion pricing of different kinds.
Right.
Where you monitor sort of real time which parts of the city are more congested and less congested, and then sort of in a predictive way impose tolls on entering certain districts. So, for example, in Manhattan, the central business district tends to be the most congested, but that varies a lot through the day. What technology allows us to do is, rather than saying, okay, between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., you're going to have the following policy, it allows us to react in real time to what's exactly happening on the road at the time.
Well, how does something like Waze work? Is that reliant on a community giving it information? What is the mechanism that makes Waze one of the most successful traffic apps?
I think it's the meld of machine and human. And what I mean by that is most mapping technologies work by keeping track of who's using, say, the Android operating system, which is then transmitting information to Google, or who's using the app, and they count the number of people on the road in real time, and then are able to give you updated sort of traffic information. But this is approximate, and so what Waze does that sort of adds to that is that they also have human input, where people are saying that something has happened here.
Right.
And so it's like, I've always found that in these kinds of crowdsourced solutions, the one that sort of meld the human intelligence with the machine intelligence tend to do the best job.
Absolutely, combination of both. But speaking of machine intelligence, cars are getting smarter and smarter. We've got the Internet of Things. Vehicle-to-vehicle communication, what can we expect in that department in the future?
Well, if you look into the distant future, an increasing fraction of the cars on the road are going to be autonomous or self-driving. I think at that point, we're really going to see tremendously improved coordination between the cars. As a transition, I think that there'll be a phase in which some of the cars are going to be driven by humans and some of the cars by machines. And what we're probably going to end up doing is installing devices in the cars that are driven by humans so that they can coordinate a little bit with the cars that are self-driving.
Well, if you're going to be stuck in traffic for an average of 3.5 days a year in a big city, you may as well be in a car which allows you to focus on your work and something like that, those driverless cars. Let's talk a little bit about smart parking. About 30% of city traffic consists of people looking for a parking space. Yep. 20 minutes is the average time spent looking for a parking space globally.
Yeah.
What's the latest in terms of technology to help drivers know where parking spots are available?
Well, I've seen a couple of really interesting technologies. One is a technology that monitors when a parking spot is available, when a parking spot is occupied or not occupied. It's a physical device that keeps track of whether a parking spot is occupied or not. There are also sharing economy solutions where, like, space that is otherwise lying, like, empty is sort of repurposed as, like, temporary parking on the fly, especially during sort of times of peak load.
Right.
When, for example, like, if we could implement something like that around Yankee Stadium during a game, where you don't need a massive parking lot all the time, but you need to
Right.
sort of get a spike.
On the occasions that you need it.
That when you actually need more parking, but you don't need it all the time.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Thank you so much for your insight, Arun Sundararajan, professor and NEC faculty fellow at NYU's Stern School of Business.